I started Surviving Skye with the goal of bringing more awareness to my sister Skye's disappearance. And I thought the best way to do this would be to start a podcast. That way I can really get into the details and bring some humanity to this case. The truth is, I didn't know how to start a podcast. So when I discovered Spotify for podcasters, it had everything I needed. I could record, edit, and then send it out to all the streaming platforms out there. I didn't need to take too much time getting hung up on all the technical aspects. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you have something that you're passionate about and you just feel like you can inform the world about what you know, then why not start a podcast and check out Spotify for podcasters today. Okay, so Mom, we're back again. We're gonna, I guess update everybody on how we've been doing, how you've been doing. Surviving Skye has been going on for about a year now, and TikTok a little bit over a year as well. And if we're honest about the situation, not much has changed.
No, nothing really has changed. We simply go about our lives, and we have our highs and lows. Certain things we have triggers for. I tend to be a bit of a coward and try to avoid anything that would trigger how I actually feel.
Of course.
But I'm not unusual. This is what everyone does, honey.
Yeah.
Anyone who has suffered a loss or in the process of grieving, there's moments where it just overwhelms you.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter the type of loss. I think anybody with any kind of loss experiences highs and lows. With us, it's just, we don't have a definitive ending or, any explanation. So there's just that extra added flourish to these moments.
When you lose a loved one and you have a funeral and you have a place to go to visit them, it's pretty definite. You know what happened. There are no expectations. With us, we lost a loved one, but we don't know how.
Yeah. Would you ever want to set up like a memorial for Skye? I know it's something we never did because it's like oftentimes it's too hard of a subject to actually even bring up and talk about and address.
A memorial I guess it all depends on your definition of a memorial. Mm-hmm. Are we saying goodbye? I don't want to say goodbye.
Of course.
And I don't know, a memorial, some people would say it's just a thing to remember her.
Mm-hmm. Would you get a plaque for her and put it on a park bench?
Actually,
there's so many different ways you can do it.
So I kind of like that over by the walking trail, the bike trail, that you do see people, and they have a bench or they have a plaque, and that I think would be kind of nice, just to say, hey, Skye, we're thinking about you.
Yeah. Maybe we should do that.
I think that sounds good. How about next spring?
Next spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I can find out how we buy a bench. Yeah. Or even in Southington, we have the brick pavements. And you see a brick which has been
You could just
donated.
put their name on it. It doesn't need to be like a date or anything. Just like,
it's just saying.
Just remembering Skye.
Just to remember Skye.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Hey, that's
okay.
good. Progress. That's something.
just simply talking about something,
Yeah.
and we tend to break up, shall we say?
Of course. And it's like you don't want to like bring it up to make somebody else feel bad, to like ruin their day or like set them up for, you know, a few days of just trying to recover from it, because it's never easy.
It's never easy.
Like, and nobody's ever really ready for it.
No. Sometimes it creeps up on you. A song. All of a sudden, you're in the grocery store and there's a song, and you just break into tears.
Of course. Oh my God. There's it's like it's a Fleetwood Mac song that does it to me every time.
Yeah. I'm really bad. I'm really bad in the car. Seems like
Is it when you drive Skye's car?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. I think it's just the ability that you are alone. Kind of cocooned almost.
Yeah.
And you feel safe enough to just let it go.
Yeah. There's something about being alone in a car that.
What is that? We should add. What is it about?
I feel
a
like
car
the
that,
French probably has a word for it when you're just like alone in a car and you can scream it out.
Yeah, or just I feel bad for the other drivers. Here you are on.
That's why you need sense.
Yeah, and here you are on Main Street. You're driving, and all of a sudden you're crying. I mean, you're sobbing, and yeah, certain things will trigger it. I'm alone in a car triggers it.
Yeah.
Certain songs, definitely certain days. If I'm stressed for anything, I go into my garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the winter?
I still go into the garden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll just walk around. I feel more at peace outside. Yeah.
I think
do.
I feel that like in my kind of recovery, if you would call it that, like going outside is the best.
Yeah.
Like once you're inside, like that's when like everything creeps in. That's when your like habits have like a habitat, like things that you do that you need to like get out of.
Well, like with you, that you run and you exercise, and that is how you get through it. With me, right after, honest to God, honey, right after we landed from Japan back home that weekend, I started tearing the yard apart. Your dad didn't know what to do with me, so he helped. And then, I mean, we didn't have this garden.
Yeah, no, not to this extent.
And then I just continued it. When you have time, it's just like a grieving process. The neighbor across the street, he lost his wife to lung cancer. He built a garage by himself, grieving.
Yeah, of course.
And I know Dad said, look at the size of that garage.
It's bigger than the house.
What is he doing? And I
He's
said,
burying himself.
He is surviving.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah.
he is surviving. So I made a garden, the whole perimeter of the yard. And I did it by hand.
Yeah. I feel like that's the best way to do it. You really have to be fully immersed in it.
You do.
You know?
And I remember the first statuary I got. It was a dragon. Poor Dad. I was at the garden center, and there was a stone dragon sleeping in a corner. And I just broke apart. I just sobbed. And the damn thing was $200. And I said, I wasn't leaving without it. And made the garden. And he's right there.
Yeah.
And people who listen to this, who understand a loss, will understand.
Of course.
You basically do what some people shop, some people eat. They do things that could be destructive. Thank God I was lucky enough to. The most destructive thing I did was pull up a weed.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, that's what you do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You, and the whole thing is, I know that when Tracy, my sister, she lost her husband, and on their anniversary or on his birthday, when her boys graduated from college and Rick wasn't there. Everybody who had lost will understand this podcast.
Yeah.
And we don't want to, oh my God, we don't want to hear this. I mean, it's depressing, but you know what? It's life.
Yeah.
It is life, and that's what this is about. It's about being able to cry and not make an apology for it.
Yeah. I feel like most times, like, things are just edited to look a certain way or sugar-coated. I don't know. I know that you watch just, like, my TikToks, but there's, like, a whole other genre of, like, hospice TikToks.
Oh, God.
Which, honestly, like, I find, like, eye-opening and endearing and just so... It touches on a part of humanity that you don't get to see because people are being so open and raw and honest about a journey that they know is ending, their life,
Yeah.
And it's maybe it's a little, like, voyeuristic to be watching it, but, they're putting it out in a way, some of them, that is educational.
Yeah.
And it's something that most people don't want to face or talk about, but I think it's, like, the most beautiful thing to talk about, because after, like, working firsthand in a hospital and experiencing people, especially during COVID, people dying and people dying alone, like, it was just
yes.
I think it's something that needs to be talked about and needs to be discussed, because death is a part of life.
It is.
And if you have a platform as a living person, being fully aware of what your next step is, I think it's such a powerful thing. It's just like there's nothing else like it, if you can handle it. Like, I know you can't be on that, like, subgenre of TikTok for too long, because it is devastating.
It is devastating. But it's all part of life. Mm-hmm. My mom is 92. And it's kind of like, your grandmother, Emily, she died at 99. My mom's 92. I will be 70 next year. I might only have, with you and AZ and Dad and Tim, only another 20 years if I'm lucky. Mm-hmm. 20 years is optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm healthy. But I think that's another thing is people don't want to talk about dying. No. It's depressing, but it's life.
It is life.
It is just what we do.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it also, with our situation, makes it more difficult. Because we don't know if Skye is dead.
I know.
That's the problem. We don't know. We don't know if she's happy. We don't know if her situation is unbearable. We don't know if she's dead. Yeah. We simply don't know. And I think that's what makes, I'm not going to say that makes it worse. It just makes it different.
Yeah. And trying to explain that. I've been, I know you've watched a few, but there's definitely other creators out there who have touched on Skye's story. I know that you watched the Sherilyn Dale one.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that one was done so well. It's like she picked up on everything.
Oh, she was fabulous.
Yeah, she picked up on everything that I was saying, and she got the nuances of it. It was amazing. And actually, I just watched another one that you haven't seen yet, but it's called Unrested. And the guy lives in Japan, and you'll have to listen to it because it confirms all the things that made us feel crazy when we were over there, just like from the culture standpoint. Yeah. And that's a hard thing to really get across to people, the differences in culture. Yes. And that's, I don't even know where to begin, but like, I know oftentimes I just feel crazy. And like when I step away from the realities of what it is, like Skye's missing in Japan. She's been missing for 14 years. And it just makes no sense that nobody has ever seen her.
Yes.
It makes absolutely no sense.
And especially when we were over there and we saw her, it's kind of like, you can't miss her.
You can't miss her. Like,
you can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this guy was talking about how even though he's lived there for like 15 years or something, even when he goes out, he's still stared at because he doesn't
fit.
He doesn't fit.
He fit. You know, I mean, we are so at times so arrogant in this country that we are the major things.
We're main character vibes all the time over here.
Yeah, but when you're put into a situation where you're not only a minor character, you're strange.
Yeah.
It's almost like, what are you doing here?
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Japan and you left and I stayed behind and there was nothing for me to do. So I just walked, and I walked in a environment where there was all families, all homes, and it went forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like you had a little creek in the middle, and condos or townhouses on either side, and parks. The whole thing was filled with parks. And what I noticed though, and everybody had their dogs and their children, and you never saw a child without a parent.
Yeah.
And I walked a lot. And if you saw a child, you saw a parent.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like over here where you open the door and the kids go.
I don't think we do that anymore, Mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I think there's laws against that now.
Yeah, that's
true.
Like, yeah, I'm thinking about
it's
when
not like
I
when
was
we
a
were.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even I remember going out as a kid in the early 90s. They don't do that anymore. You don't see kids out anymore anywhere. Even if you go on a walk, you don't see any kids.
Yeah, because even with Azy.
I know.
Yeah,
the poor kid has no friends out here. There's not a kid in sight. I don't know where they are.
But it's a different environment.
Yeah.
And they're very protective and very...
That was something he was also saying about just like Chinese culture and law in general. They protect privacy at all costs.
Yes.
And it's like a hard thing to really convey in America.
I remember when the police said that if they do contact her, that they will let her know we're looking for her. But that would be all.
Yeah, but that's up to her. And that's something that I want to figure out what to do with next, because per the last conversation that I had with the detective, he was able to kind of reach out and get in touch with police in the area. I forgot what it was called. In Sapporo. But in order for us to have access to the police records, which we've never had.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any? You don't.
No.
They never gave us a copy of the police report or anything like that.
No, I remember when we brought our copy of ours.
Yeah.
That the police, a report. They were passing it around the table, if you remember, and they were saying, "Oh, look what they do here."
Yeah.
I think I remember that part. Because it was we had duplicates and repeating the same information on a different page, and we would have 5 pages, and they would just have 1.
Yeah.
So it was very basic.
Yeah, but in order to even get that, in case there were any other leads that came in that we didn't know about, if it came in years later, we have no idea.
Yeah.
And we still don't have access to that.
Yeah.
And that's something that's been difficult. And I know people say oh, just get the lawyer or something, but how do you begin that? You need to send out, that's where I've been stumped, because it's you have to have, a lawyer from the U.S. that kind of could help, and then a lawyer within Japan, and then to both know the system. I don't. People think it's easier said than done. I don't even know where to begin.
People watch too much TV where everything is solved within 1 hour.
I know.
Or even a major motion picture. You got 2 hours to solve this whole case.
I know.
And we find out that
but
life isn't that way.
No, because they don't factor in the costs of all this.
Oh yeah.
Not just monetary, but the mental toll that it takes on you to just navigate these systems if you just don't understand it, because you can't go to a divorce lawyer maybe
an international lawyer. Yeah.
I don't know any. Everybody has I feel some sort of family member that's extended that may be in law, but like they're in corporate law. There's so many like nuances.
Yes, right.
And you can't, and even they don't know. It's like asking, a pediatrician to perform like brain surgery.
Right.
It's just, it's never that cut and dry.
No, it's not. And at this stage of the game,
I feel like what we're doing here, just like talking about it and trying to bring awareness, like to give like, hey, this is the reality of it. This isn't like easy to navigate.
I think,
like,
well, that's why I'm here. My attitude was like, yeah, we found out later on. I mean, we were just walking, that we were in shock.
Yeah.
From beginning to end, we were in shock. And even with you, is that you kind of acted back then. It was like, oh, yeah, we're going to find her. This is going,
right?
This is going to be a grand adventure.
Yeah, of course.
And then we
like,
realized.
First of all, the reality never, I feel like it didn't sink in until like.
It didn't.
It didn't sink in then. And it took a while for the reality to be like, wait a second, like she's not coming back. Or we have no idea. And then you start like replaying every step that you took, and you're like, what could I have done differently?
And it's like, oh my God, when we landed in Sapporo and they gave us those flyers, and I was so grateful. I was so shocked that they went through the trouble to do this. But when I got back home 6 months later, and I'm thinking, it's
like, oh, they had nothing for us to do.
They had nothing for us to do. So let's give. That is just like, I gave the example. It was the last podcast. A Japanese couple comes to Southington, and we give them flyers, and drop them off at Queen Street.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, now that we got our brain back, shall we say, kind of like, but then it's kind of like, that was another thing, is why didn't I realize that? Why didn't I do something? I couldn't even get past the language barrier. The language barrier alone.
I know.
When you get into a country where you literally, nobody spoke English.
Yeah. Because it's not like Tokyo or something where there's more international.
There was more
travelers.
international, but still is.
It's not like going to like.
Isn't it funny
Europe.
that in this country, when we go to another country, we just assume, oh, well, they teach them English.
I know.
It's our assumptions that we realize that we're a bit arrogant when it comes to thinking that, oh yeah. But no, it's how am I? I'm doing fine, honey. I have a grandson, which I absolutely adore. My daughter and son-in-law came to visit me for at least 2 months.
6 weeks.
Okay. And I just love it. It's because you're probably just saying, oh, I want to get home. And life is all good. I mean...
Yeah, it is like what you make of it at this point.
It is.
And, I know it's like I'm putting a lot into this, and, it sucks because there's no, like, return in any way. It's just putting it all out there, and it's exhausting. And
it is. And the whole thing is, though, the return, even if we could help one person who is listening to this, and we made their day a little easier.
Maybe.
So someone else is missing a son or a daughter or a wife or husband. And if we can't give you any answers, just know that, it's life. And
it's grim.
And the bills are going to be there, and you're still going to go to work. And
yeah. But I think it's worth, I know something that, like, I've learned with, like, during COVID and then having a son and trying to face Skye's disappearance. It's like, you also have to be courageous in
Try different things.
Trying different things, yeah.
I love your billboard idea. I mean, you know what? Why not?
Yeah.
For God's sakes, why not? If we can drive down the highway and see this, and maybe one or two people will go into your podcast and listen.
Yeah.
And maybe there'll be someone who has
a different way to look at this, or like they have information on how to move forward in certain ways.
And they contact us.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even if it helps someone else.
Yeah. My email's always open, guys. It's survivingskye.com. No, it's survivingskye@gmail.com. I can't.
But yeah, it's at this point of the game, I just want to help other people.
I know.
Just let other people know, because, you know, you can meet someone and they ask how your children's doing or whatever, and you can say, oh, what do you say?
Yeah.
My daughter's missing. Oh my God, what do you say? So, but
I think, yeah, with the billboard, just getting it out there, like, people have, in Southington, like, there are people that haven't ever heard of this case.
No, they haven't.
And it's crazy, because if you really break it down, it's such a pretty insane case. And I know, like, often, like, we have to, like, detach and go back to our lives. But I know when I listen to other creators talk about this case, it kind of like, I like to listen to it as somebody who is kind of detached from it. And when I listen to it, I'm like, oh man, that's really fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And often, like, that is, like, that's our normal, where we live this. But I guess sometimes I appreciate the validation of when I do have days where I just feel overwhelmed and I'm like, this is insane. Like, what is happening? Like, at least other people are recognizing that.
That's all.
You know? So that does help me.
It does. It helps. It's I think it's, for me, it's watching your TikTok. I'm very proud of watching that. And your podcast. And I'm saying, my daughter is doing that.
Yeah. I just wish I wasn't, in cases like this, I wish I didn't have to compete with, like, the algorithm and trying to get it out there. Because it's like, I don't want to be doing TikTok. You know, it's kind of exhausting. It's kind of just like, well, what do I have to think of doing next? What kind of, like, filter should I put on my face? And if I don't put a filter on, like, this thing that I'm working hard on is only going to get, like, 500 views instead of, like, I have, like, 95,000 followers who don't see it. And it's really, like, it's frustrating, because I also look at my my analytics, and it's 98% women, which is amazing, because that's why it's a safe space.
Yes.
But, like, also there are, you know, other genders out there that could help in a way, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's frustrating when you're trying. That's why I'm doing this, and I'm trying to put it in or try to connect with other people, but, like, trying to do more doesn't necessarily bode well for somebody like me who just gets exhausted with just...
It's exhausting.
It's like mentally draining.
It is, because you're bringing something painful up, and you're putting it out there for some people to pick at.
Yeah, of course. You know, the funny thing is, like, there was, like, a troll in, like, one of the TikToks the other day, and it was, like, the only engagement I was getting, so I was like, let's roll with it, because, like, it doesn't affect me.
I liked how you handled that one. That was handled very well, because you didn't say anything. You just had your music playing.
Yeah, like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
You know? But sometimes it's like the trolls are what kind of gets momentum or more views on
our
something.
Negativity side.
Yeah, it's like you kind of have to work with it, and that's what's kind of something that I wanted to do with Skye Stories, to have some sort of control over it, to not be so...
But you'll always have a few.
You'll always have a few, but, like, I'm thinking just more, like, people trying to exploit it, at least if it's me putting it out there in my sphere of what I can touch, like at least there's some sort of semblance of control over it.
Yeah.
And I feel like so many times if you go the route of, if some other creator or some other company wants to take it over, or if you get put on the news, it's going to be cut up in a way and the narrative's going to be shifted in order to meet some other needs.
Right.
At least
But
with me doing it this way, like, you can kind of hold on to
from what
your
I
sanity.
see of what you've been doing, you're touching people. People are responding.
Yeah.
And that is what you take, honey.
Yeah.
Not
of course.
about the numbers or anything else. But
No.
But
I know.
I mean, the numbers are nice, but you know what? You reached out and people reached back.
Yeah.
And that is what the whole point is.
Yeah.
You need to focus on what you can control and what you can't control.
Of course, but we're humans, and
We all. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, that was nice.
Yeah.
Let's go live.
Oh, all right.